Hey people, what's up? Today's video is on a style that a lot of you have been requesting, which is wave or wave trap. I feel like it has a lot of different names, but either way, it's a really fun genre to produce. A lot of cool techniques in here as well. But before we dive into the actual tutorial, I want to thank Music Plug Corner for sponsoring this video and for sending over their new VST called MkIII. And it's jam-packed with presets that are absolutely perfect for wave, trap, and honestly a lot of other genres. And if you like any of the sounds that I'm using in this beat, you can check out the plugin for yourself, and there's a 20% discount code in the description below. So without further ado, let's hop into Ableton and make some music. Okay, so I've got my BPM set at 137 for this one, and I'm gonna go ahead and let's grab that plugin I was telling you about. So this is MkIII. It works just like any other plugin. But if we open this, there's so many options. There's ARPs, there's basses, bells, keys, pads, leads, pianos, plucks. Yeah, an insane amount of presets. So what I want to start with, as usual, is some keys. I want to kind of make a melody with the keys and the chords together. So let's find maybe some keys that sound good. So I actually really like this preset. Okay, so I'm just going to draw in this MIDI clip here, Control-Shift-M, and I am in G minor, which is one of my favorite scales to write in. So let's just get in here a little bit closer. Just gonna hold Control and copy that over. And then let's just do the G here, which is that the root of the scale. So I'm gonna hold Control C to copy, Control V to paste it, and then Shift and down to just copy this. So we have 2 octaves of this. And then let's just select both of those, Control to copy it over again. And let's move it down to the E flat. Okay, so again, I'm just going to copy this over and keep working on this, just slightly changing notes. Okay, so here are the keys that I went through and finished. It's basically the same thing repeating. We're just changing the root notes of the chords up and down just to give it a little bit of tension and release. And then we go up here in the middle. So I'm still a huge fan of Ableton's velocity effect. And I'm going to give it some tube distortion. Just a little bit. Just pull down the highs a little bit. And maybe just a little bit of glue compression here as well. And I just have Ableton's stock reverb here on a send, and I'm just going to send that pretty heavily to the reverb. All right, next let's go ahead and find like a pad. So I think this one actually will work pretty well, just kind of really light in the background, just to add a little bit of extra texture. And all I've done here is just take kind of the main notes out of the chords above. I'm not playing the entire chord because that would be too muddy. Okay, next I want to start adding in some drums. And one of the things I noticed when listening to a lot of these wave tracks is that they have kind of a more like chill part at the beginning, and then it kind of turns into like an almost 4 to the floor kind of double time at the end of the song. Definitely notice this one if you listen to Skeller's Tel Aviv. So let's start with kind of the chill beginning drum pattern. I want to make this come down for those hats, I'm just coming in and boosting the highs a little bit of compression to catch, because I did turn up the velocity on some of those, so I just want to catch those so it's not a whole lot louder. And then I'm going to use duck, and this is going to really help with the side chaining. You can use a sidechain compressor. That's going to do the same thing, but I need to just set this to be to the kick. And I also just want to come in here to the random pan in the simpler and just turn this up to maybe like 36%, just so those hats have a little bit of movement. Next, I'm just adding a simple clap, and this is going to be on every 3 for the beginning drums. So the more chill section of the drums, it's going to be on every 3, and this is kind of be like a, kind of make it like a halftime. So everything is going to seem a little bit slower than it is. So just cutting out the lows on that. I'm going to do a little bit of compression here. And I'm going to send this to that reverb too. Okay, so before I move on to creating a melody and bass and all that stuff, I want to just get the second half of those drums done. So I'm just going to scoot this over here, and let's just loop like the beginning of this section here. Probably these 8 bars are fine. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just create a new MIDI clip for the kick. And basically this is going to be like the 4 to the floor pattern, maybe just slightly different. And then another cool trick is to take the same kick. So I'm just going to hold Control and copy this to another cell in the drum rack. I'm going to grab an EQ8 real quick. And what I'm going to do is basically come in here and just cut this and kind of turn it into a tom almost. And then I'm just going to sprinkle that in on a couple of these places here. And I'm going to come in here and do the same thing with the hats. We're basically just going to up the energy, and this will be for the second half of the song. Okay, to make this easier, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to hit legato to take it across the entire thing. And then I'm going to hit Control E, and it's going to slice it into some nice 16th notes for me. And then just to make this a little more trappy, let's go ahead and add some little different pitched hi-hats here. And then how about we make this just like one big roll? So maybe we can like, let's slice all of these here. Something like that. And then we can just take them all down. And then it's always fun to just kind of mess with the velocity. If you select all of the notes you want, hold B, and then you hold Control, and you can actually just draw a nice little straight down line like that if you want them all to just kind of gradually get softer. And the last thing I want to do before moving on to making a melody to finish off these drums for the second half is to change this. Since we're double timing this, instead of having the clap be on every 3, I want to move it to the 2 and 4 now, and that's going to make it seem like it's going a lot faster. Send that to the reverb as well. Okay, let's see what we have for melodies here. Oh, okay, so I really, really like this. It's kind of what I am going for. So let's go ahead and make a melody with this. Okay, so I'm thinking something along the lines of, so basically just kind of riffing on that G minor chord. And again, like I said, I am a big fan of just kind of repeating the same or close to the same thing over the top of changing like bass notes or changing chords, and I think it sounds really nice. Okay, so I want to shorten all of these and make them more kind of like a plucky sound instead of chords. Otherwise it's going to get really muddy. So I'm just going to grab, this looks like the longest note. So let's just grab that one, drag it all the way back. And now we can just kind of make them like that. Okay, so I went back through and just kind of added some extra notes down here. So just repeating that root G more, and then we're just kind of following along with the changes in some of the melody and the keys as well. Okay, so I'm going to add roar on there to give it a little bit of saturation. An EQ just to cut a little bit of those highs and any of the lows down there. Echo. And then a little bit of reverb, and that's going to help so it doesn't sound so weird when it's just stopping with no sustain. And so this is the typical bass that I use for most of these types of tracks. Sounds pretty nice. What I've done here is I've added Ableton Shaper, and I've actually mapped it to 3 different things. So I've mapped it to the frequency of this filter on the auto filter, so it's opening up at a rate of 2. I'm mapping it to the amount of saturation on roar. And I have this on the noise. You can just hear it getting a little crunchy at the end there. And also the frequency of this erosion. You can hear it just making it much more aggressive as the note comes to an end. And then I'm just layering it with a really simple, I think this is a preset from Ableton, the hip hop sub bass. Okay, and I know this is a little strange that I'm kind of like working on this in 2 pieces because we have the beginning of the beat and like the second like double timed half. But let's take this melody over here. And what I want to do is also make the melody a little bit more aggressive and just faster. So I'm actually going to just see what we can get out of Ableton's new warping transformation tools here. So okay, so I went ahead and just kind of cleaned this up a little bit and changed the notes to where they made sense. So now we have this. Sounds really, really good. So that time warp was actually really helpful because I would not have come up with that on my own. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start arranging this real quick. Okay, so here's what the entire thing looks like arranged. So we have those basses that I showed you. I do have an extra melody here at the end, which I'll go over in a second. I added this vocal, so this is just off of Splice. We have those keys and the pad that we already created, that kind of string plucked melody here, and then the drums. So we've got, again, that beginning part. And then we come here to this kind of like breakdown section. So all of the drums and the low end of the bass drops out. We've got the vocals. Then I have an auto filter, just kind of taking the energy out here. And I found this other vocal on Splice.
I just wonder if the empty space would make me go insane.
And then we drop into that switch up. And if you come down here to the master, I've got an auto filter right here. That's just slowly creeping up before it turns off. So we've got a little snare fill here, some risers, and a little crash there to drop us into that kind of double time section. I added some extra percussion here, just for some extra energy. And then this flute melody, which is also a preset from MkIII. And yeah, that's pretty much the entire song. If you enjoyed any of those presets from the MkIII VST, do remember there's a 20% discount in the description below. Thank you again in Music Plug Corner for sending that over. And yeah, I will play the entire thing for you. Please drop some comments of what you'd like to see in future videos, and I can work on that. Until then, take care.
I just wonder if the empty space would make me go insane.